There will be some talk about IPPL, which Mr. Arora, the IPA president, will be doing with us. We will also understand how to improve plumbing efficiencies and designs by reducing costs. So without much further ado, I'd like to invite our president, Mr. Nandu Bilani, for his welcome address. Over to you, Mr. Bilani.
A very good evening, friends. I wish to welcome all of you today to this webinar on plumbing. As Yashvi has already introduced that what today's webinar will be all about, as plumbing is one of the most important aspects of a construction. When we do put up a building, I think one of the most important aspects, because as you see in a lot of buildings, there's a lot of leakages. I think plumbing has properly done is very, very important and most crucial. And as I can see, we have three speakers today. Mr. Rahul Dattphale, who is the National Joint Secretary, IPA, who would be speaking on strategies and tips to save costs in plumbing. Mr. Nilesh Gandhi, VC, IPA, Pune, benefits, who would be speaking on benefits of choosing the right plumbing system. And Mr. Subhash Deshpande, member, Technical Committee, IPA, who will be talking on common mistakes that cause leakages and how to avoid and rectify them. Today, I think with environment playing such an important role in for the future generations, I think water conservation has become one of the most important aspects that we need to look into. And I think here plumbing plays a very important role, as we need to ensure that we reuse the water and also ensure that the systems that we install use less water but serve the purpose what it's supposed to serve. Because what you've seen in the past, the kind of wanton wastage of water in terms of taps, in terms of your showers, I think it's very important that plumbing here plays a very important role in conserving this water. As it's a natural resource and they say it's finite. One day, water in many parts of the world is finishing. So I think this is something which plumbing should really look into and deal with. The other aspect is the leakages that we see in buildings are most primarily due to faulty plumbing. I think a builder's reputation depends a lot. When a little damp is seen in a beautiful building, they think the builder has taken them for a ride. It may have just been maybe a mistake on the part of supervision or maybe in the materials used, and it will be a very small cost. I think our experts should tell us where the common mistakes are made, as these two aspects are very important going forward for plumbing. And I will not take much of your time, and I would just like to say that today's event has been put up and entirely coordinated and coordinated by the CREDAI Youth Wing. CREDAI Bengal's name is still there, but CREDAI Youth Wing has done a great job in putting up this event. I wish to thank all the CREDAI Youth Wing members who have put this up. Thank you, and I hand it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Bilani. I'd particularly like to mention the name of Mr. Praveen Bora and Mr. Siddharth Vasudevan, who have helped us coordinate and make this event possible for today. So thank you so much. I'd like to invite Mr. Abhay Pasari, who is the local representative of IPA from Calcutta. Over to you, Mr. Pasari. We cannot hear you. You seem to be on mute.
Okay, I think I'm audible now. Good afternoon, yes, everybody. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank CREDAI and IPA for organizing this event. I'll just run you through brief. I think a lot of new.
Can you talk a little louder, please?
Okay, can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay. I just like to highlight. I just like to highlight about IPA. IPA. There are a lot of members in CREDAI perhaps who do not know about IPA, so I'd just like to speak to it for a few minutes. Basically, in the 1990s, there was a frenetic development in the building industry. Large projects started coming all over India, and there was a need was felt amongst real estate companies, among real estate owners, the architects, engineers, that there should be a common platform and to form a national plumbing body to basically facilitate free flow of knowledge on plumbing designs, products, international technologies, and installations. To fill this vacuum, the IPA was formed in 1993 by a few committed professionals, and the body was registered in Delhi. Since then, IPA has grown significantly, and we have 23 chapters across the country, including one in Calcutta. Currently, there are 5,000 plus life members in this association, and which span the entire country. The basic mission of IPA is to redefine the plumbing standards in India, striving for an overall improvement of plumbing profession in India so that it can be at par with international standards. Few of the objectives of IPA is organizing seminars, exhibitions, symposiums. It's providing a common platform for dissemination of information and exchange of ideas. It is also an interface between the plumbing community, the government and statutory bodies, and establishing training and education programs to create plumbing professionals across the country. In short, IPA is the apex body of plumbing professionals in India, and all its members are from every segment which are directly or indirectly related to the construction industry. In addition, there is a plumbing institute which is formed in Pune. There is a plumbing lab where there is a lot of testing and new equipment and technology is tested. So overall, IPA is putting all its efforts, and also they're also a member of the World Plumbing Council, a very active member of the World Plumbing Council, and a national uniform plumbing code has also been drawn up in association with IAPMO USA. So we are the local chapter here. I think Mr. Gurmeet Arora will now, our national president, will be talking about the IPPL. We are based in Calcutta, so if there's anything you need from IPA, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pasari, for the introduction to IPA, and I'm sure all of our members are very well, more aware about IPA now. I'd like to take the opportunity to invite Mr. Gurmeet Singh Arora now, who has been very, very instrumental in signing the MOU between CREDAI and IPA, which has taken us which is a big step forward. So, Mr. Arora, over to you. If you could brief us about the MOU a little bit for the benefit of our members and talk about IPPL.
Thank you, Yashashvi. I am indeed indebted to Mr. Satish Magar, Siddharth Vasudevan for bringing us together today. President Nandu Bilani, thank you very much for hosting us today. What we are going to show you today is a small preview of the Indian Plumbing Professional League. And I'm going to take you through 15 slides. Of course, I won't take more than 10 minutes. But why I want to take you through these slides is to tell you why plumbing is important, and there is a lack of knowledge between the building industry, the developer, and the consultant. We have gone to many sites and seen that after an architect designs the site, I won't name the builder, but one of the biggest builders of Mumbai and one of the largest architects of India, I get a call from the consultant that your copper pipe, there is no space to put it in the shaft. And what should I do? I said, okay, you make the case outside the shaft and put it. Now, a shaft actually is supposed to be housing all the plumbing lines, the walls, all the service lines. And tomorrow, if your shaft is not designed on a proper dimension, obviously, you are going to have problems. Now, this is a very small example I'm giving you, but there is a disconnect between what is actually installed and what is actually supposed to be installed. So there are plumbing codes which run into more than 1,500 pages, which I'm going to showcase to you today. And that is why we would like you to participate in the IPPL. What we have done is this year, instead of charging a fee of 10,000 rupees, we have brought down the fees to 3,500 rupees for the simple reason we would like mass participation. So Nivedita, can we have the slideshow, please?
Yes.
This is only a preview of the Indian Plumbing Professional League. And I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. This is only 1.5 hours of plumbing. But the IPPL is running into, I think, 6 or 7 Saturdays, 3 or 4 hours each. So there's a lot of plumbing to be done.
So can you see my screen?
We can't. It's not opened yet. We can see your screen, but we can't see the slide.
It's open, sir.
No, we can't see the slide. Can you redo it?
Yes, I'll just do that. Can you see it now, sir?
Yes, very good. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to talk to you about the 4th edition of the Indian Plumbing Professional League, in short IPPL. This entire activity is learning with fun. You gain knowledge through discussion, through visuals, through quizzes. There are written quizzes, there are pictorial quizzes, and you learn from the comfort of your home, because right now we are going to do this in a virtual format. Also, you're going to be learning from the best in the industry. We have chosen the best of the consultants, not from Calcutta or from Bombay or from Pune, but from all over India, because IPA comprises of nearly 5,000 life members. We have other membership categories, but the life members are 5,000. And of course, every plumbing consultant and MEP consultant of the country is our member, and therefore we have chosen the best to teach you. Next slide, Nivedita. So our journey started in 2017 with one city, Pune. In fact, this was the brainchild of Mr. Praveen Bora. And I have copied this as the IGBC Green League. We are doing this in the IGBC also, as some of you know. So it's become big in IGBC also, but that's a main attribute. This is plumbing. In 2018, we moved to 11 cities. In fact, the man standing next to me, I'm standing in a cap, is the World Plumbing Council chairman at that time, Shane La Combre from Australia. In 2019, we moved to 18 cities. And in 2020, in fact, we are grateful that the COVID crisis and the lockdown has taken place, and we are able to move not from a classroom format, but a not for restricted format of having participants from anywhere in India. Earlier, we had 23 chapters, and therefore we were restricted to our 23 chapters, but I can have a participant in Kashmir, I can have a participant in Kanyakumari, in the east or west of India, and even internationally. So anybody who wants to participate can participate now. There's a chance to learn plumbing from the best in India. Next slide. And also it's seamless. There's no classrooms, as I told you. You can sit in your pajamas, your dhoti or your lungi, and you can still learn plumbing and attend classes. The IPPL reach, as you can see on the right side of the screen, 2,100 participants last year, 25 learning sessions, 23 chapters. If you look at the breakup, you will see 32% of the participants were engineers, 24% were public health engineers or MEP family, 17% were builders. So this year what we have done is we have signed an MOU with CREDAI, 12,500 builders, Meritco, 12,000 builders, and we are making sure that we get good participation from the building community so that we bridge the gap between the knowledge that we have for plumbing and what is actually installed at sites. 15% were architects and engineers, and basically this is a quiz-based knowledge sharing platform, and this platform has been very successful last few years, and therefore we are very excited about it. Next slide, Nivedita. Our journey has been very satisfying, very enlightening, amazing. We've had the best of the builders, so whether it's a DLF, a Hirnandani, a K. Raheja, Kalpatru, Shobha, Lodha, Larsen & Toubro, Supertech, Peninsula, Rustomji, Shapoorji Pallonji, you name it, and they have all participated. Siddharth Sohn company has participated last 3 years continuously. Satish Magar's company is participating last 3 years continuously. So I am announcing now the 4th edition in a virtual format. Learn from your home, as I said, learn while enjoying a glass of beer or even adrak wali chai, whatever you prefer, from anywhere in the country. Next slide. The target this year, ladies and gentlemen, is 10,000 participants because we can do it seamless virtually. But we are going to do this on a Saturday and Sunday because some people prefer Sundays, some people prefer a Saturday, are okay on a Saturday. So we are going to be teaching the same stuff on a Saturday and consecutively on the Sunday. We'll have 2 different teachers but teaching the same curriculum. We have a technical committee which I chair in IPA, and the technical committee vets all the presentations that go to you, and because they have to be adhering to the codes that we profess. Next slide. So we have CREDAI supporting this, we have NAREDCO, we have 9,000 members from IIID, we have IGBC, about 4,000 members, we have the Indian Institute of Architects, Fire and Security Association, Builders Association of India. We have all the associations supporting this event. So it's going to be big and it's going to be very professionally managed. Eligibility criteria is, of course, you have to be 18 years of age, you have to be fluent in English because all the teachings are in English and they are going to be technical. And who should participate is, of course, architects, interior designers, builders, real estate developers, consultants in MEP field, plumbing engineers, contractors, project management consultants, and technical institutes, because this is a learning platform. What we have done on the fee, as I said, is we are charging 3,500 rupees for non-IPA members and 2,500 for an IPA member. And what it entitles you, I'll show you on a later slide. Next slide, Nivedita. The training topics are very important, and I'm going to read them from this slide. We're going to be teaching on water supply and distribution, pumping and hydropneumatic systems, fixture, fittings, walls and apparatuses, hot water systems, WTPs, STPs. We're going to be teaching you on how to save 35–40% water without compromising on the comfort of the user. We have the Water Efficient Products India Code, revised in 2017 for the second time. Storm water drainage, rainwater harvesting, terminologies. I'm not able to read, I'm sorry, clearly. I lost my left eye yesterday. There's a clot, it will get okay in the next 2–3 weeks, but I'm sorry if I'm missing out anything. Codes and standards, sanitary drainage systems, indirect waste, and I can't see the last slide.
It's challenges in execution.
Pardon me?
Challenges in execution.
Challenges in execution. So, and where we'll be doing a lot of case studies as we are going to do today. Next slide. So what is the takeaway for participants? Number one, you get a professional membership, which is also equivalent to the 3,500 value you pay. This costs 3,500 now. And this membership is valid for 3 years. In these 3 years, you get a complimentary copy of the Indian Plumbing Today. It's a hard copy. And the IPA newsletter. The Indian Plumbing Today is a technical journal and it's a monthly journal. You get read-only codes of the Uniform Illustrated Plumbing Code of India. Now, this is a code of 673 pages on plumbing, because plumbing is a science. Revised this. These are all the codes are adopted from the International Association of Plumbing and Mechanical Officials, USA, but rewritten and revised in India by a technical committee. UIPCI was revised in 2008, 2011, 2014, and 2017, completely indigenized. We have the WEPI, the Water Efficient Products India Guide. We are going to be teaching you from the swimming pool code, from the solar, hydronics, and geothermal code, which we have recently again revised in 2020, and a guide to good plumbing practices, which is very simple for site engineers to know about regular plumbing practices where they make a mistake. So there are a lot of takeaways to the participants other than learning from the codes everything about plumbing. Next slide. Lots of prizes to be won. There are cash rewards in lieu of foreign tours. We were always giving foreign tours to the finalists, 3 finalists, first, second, and third. But this time we're giving cash rewards, and we have the Indian Plumbing Conference taking place in December. If we do have the hard format, then the trophies will be given away at the conference or later whenever we have a conference. But this time we have prizes at every level, local. There are cash prizes, 10,000, 5,000, 25,000, to be won by many people. There are more than 50, 60 prizes, and they're going to be at different levels so that people really participate and learn. Next slide. There are many advantages to you. There are adoption of tested and proven plumbing systems, which you learn from the experts, pan-India networking, awareness of latest trends in plumbing, improvement in planning and execution of real estate projects, technical information from leading plumbing manufacturers because there are spontaneous presentations which are also technical.
I'll just pause you, Mr. Arora. We have some disturbance. Sorry. Sanjukta, can you
Yeah.
mute some of these people who are.
দেখাচ্ছে
Sanjukta, can you
Okay.
please mute them? And I'll request
So
all else not to please unmute yourself and disturb the panelists. Thank you.
There are technical information from leading plumbing manufacturers. Even these sponsorial presentations are not sponsorial. They're going to be only technical. They're not going to be speaking individually about the product. But if we speak of CPVC, then they're going to speak on CPVC technology, not on Astral or Ashirvad or Ajay or whatever the manufacturer is. And there's, of course, professional capacity building where you install plumbing as per international codes. Let me tell you, the National Building Code is around 220 pages of plumbing. We are teaching you more than 1500 pages of plumbing. Next slide. In my 27-year career in IPA, this has been the most satisfying to see these testimonials where the participants have really appreciated the IPPL. I'm not going to go through them, but there are fantastic testimonials. I do not know what is coming over here, but can you see that? Something coming on the screen.
Somebody is scribbling on the screen.
Doesn't matter. But these testimonials are real value for us because it speaks volumes of the program. Next slide. So there are contacts available. Praveen is the chairman of the IPPL, and our Sushant Sinha and of course Mr. Pasari is the chairman of the IPA Calcutta chapter. All our email IDs. My email ID is president@indianplumbing.org. Praveen is Pune@indianplumbing.org. Kolkata chairman is Kolkata@indianplumbing.org. So you can write to any city, just put the city name @indianplumbing.org and you can contact them and they will contact you back. We are also on social media. Next slide. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. We are all over social media. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I hope all of you enroll and participate in the IPP. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arora, for your address and telling us more about IPPL and IPA.
Right.
I'm sure from the Eastern Zone, we will see more increased participation in IPPL. And I can speak for myself. I will definitely ask my team to enroll for it. Amongst us today, we are having many MEP consultants, developers from Bengal, and I'm sure all of them will greatly benefit from this and we will move forward as a community. So thank you very much. Moving forward, I'd like to invite Mr. Ayan Biswas from KSB Pumps for his presentation.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for inviting us in this webinar. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Ayan Biswas. I am a mechanical engineer and I am working in this pumping industry for last 6 years. In KSB Pumps, I am working since 2018 and I'm looking after the building services business in the Eastern region. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So if I talk about KSB, KSB is one of the leading manufacturer of pumps, valves and systems established in 1872 at Frankenthal, Germany. And today we are having 33 production units across 16 countries. And KSB is active in more than 100 countries with more than 15,000 employees. Globally, if we see, KSB is amongst the top 5 pump manufacturers. Next slide, please. If I talk about KSB's presence in India, KSB was established in India in the year of 1960 at Pune, Pimpri, Pune. And since then, today we have total 7 manufacturing units across India. And our latest plant, which was established at Shirwal in 2017, that is the plant where we are manufacturing pumps for nuclear reactors. So KSB is the only company in India who is manufacturing pumps for nuclear power plants in India itself. And if we see, we have zonal offices in all 4 zones and with 18 branch offices, more than 200 authorized service centers, and more than 800 authorized dealers across India. Next slide, please. So today I'll talk about the products we offer for the building services particularly. In terms of building services, we are having products for all the sub-segments like water supply, drainage and sewage, firefighting and HVAC. All the products you need for a building is available with KSB. Next. Yeah, first to start with the water supply, this is the product, this is the vertical inline type pumps for water transfer application, suppose for underground reservoir to overhead tank. We generally recommend this type of vertical inline pumps because if you see the construction wise, it is made out of complete SS304. And since this is a multi-stage kind of pump, for high pressure applications, always the efficiencies will be much more better than the traditional normal end suction or monoblock kind of pumps. So this is the vertical inline pumps we have. We can offer these pumps as standalone, or we can offer these pumps attached with a like variable frequency drive, or we can say the pump controller. Next slide, please. Yeah, so the next one is the hydropneumatic system. I think this is now the very popular system which is used for the upward boosting. And by using this type of hydropneumatic systems, we generally do not need to have a additional overhead tank. So it saves some spaces and different types of systems. That is a fixed speed system, which is we call as a KT system. Then we have a single VFD system, and then we have multiple VFD system. So these hydropneumatic systems can be offered from 2 to 6 pumps maximum, and the capacity range we can cover up to 660 meter cube with the head range of 160 meter. And if we talk about the very basic common features, all the common features are available. Like we are offering the touchscreen controller with graphical display in the control panel. Then we have the option for flying VFD in case of it is a single VFD system. Then the pumps are running for the cascading operation. Then we have all the protections that we require, that is dry run, thermal overload protection, and many more. And then if we require the BMS communications, we have Modbus or BACnet protocol for that. Next one. Yeah, so this is the complete construction wise. If we see the hydropneumatic system, we are offering all the high quality materials and the reputed makes. Like if you see the complete pump is made out of SS304. The pump casing part we are offering in 2 different material of construction, which is for larger pump, it is cast iron, and for smaller size pumps, this is SS304. Then the NRVs are also offered in cast iron and SS304. Ball valve and butterfly valves are also same. Then the headers, the common headers, we are by default providing MS CED coated, or we can also offer in SS304. Then the base frame is also MS CED coated. The pressure transmitters we are offering of generally Danfoss. Then if you see the internal components, that is also the reputed makes like Siemens and other reputed manufacturers. Then VFDs, we are using Siemens or Danfoss. Next slide, please. Yes. So apart from the hydropneumatic system for say for any other water transfer application, these are very common pumps. These are like end suction and monoblock kind of pumps. These are also available with the variety of ranges. Next one. So if anybody is requiring a hydropneumatic system, which is to be made out of say end suction pump, that is also possible. So it is not limited to the only vertical inline types of pumps. We can use any kind of pump as a hydropneumatic system. And these are some of the pictures which we have already supplied with different types of pumps. Next, please. Yeah, so this is another unique product of KSB. Many places we have seen that there are customers are want for a submersible type pump which is to be used for over a tank filling application. And suppose if it is a high-rise building, generally it is difficult to get, but we have a kind of product which is a multi-stage pump. This is we call as a VO. These pump can actually cater up to a very high head, and since this is a multi-stage pump like the vertical inline I have shown in the earlier slides, since this is also a multi-stage pump, the efficiencies will be much better than the conventional open well type monoblock pumps. So this is also another very good option we provide. If I talk about the test bed facility, this is our test bed at the Sinnar plant. And then this is the complete range of our dewatering product and sewage pumps. If you see the product range, we have from the smallest pump to the largest capacity pump. Then next is the firefighting package. We have the complete product range for the firefighting pumps, like from the motor-driven hydrant pump, engine-driven pump, jockey pump. This is the complete skid mounted system we can also offer in a common skid with that control panel, and the entire pumps will be mounted with a common suction and delivery header along with all the necessary valves and other fittings. Next. Yeah, so for firefighting nowadays for high-rise buildings, it is also very much required to use the multi-stage, multi-outlet kind of pumps. So that also we are offering the multi-stage, multi-outlet kind of pump. With the use of this product, we can reduce the total number of pumps to be required for any high-rise building. So also we have the complete range for the air conditioning solutions, the HVAC system. So for HVAC, we are offering the pumps for primary chilled water, for secondary chilled water, as well as for the condenser water, along with the complete control panel with primary variable option as well as the secondary variable option. Now, these are all the types of projects we are doing in building services like airports, metros, hospitals, townships, and many luxurious projects. Next. And these are some of the references we have in all the different categories. So, and these are the biggest builders we are working with across the India. Yeah, so this is my contact details. If anyone want to contact us, you can write a mail to me along with your contact details so that I can contact you with the much possible solutions.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity. Yeah.
Most welcome. Thank you to you, and thank you to KSB Pumps for sponsoring our webinar today. This brings us now to the core part of a discussion for the webinar today. I'd like to hand over to Mr. Rahul Dhatphale, who is going to speak about strategies and tips on how to save costs in plumbing. Over to you, Mr. Rahul.
Thank you, Yashasvi, and good afternoon to everyone. Nivedita, load the. Nivedita. So I am going to present today the journey which started to achieve the safe installation and ultimately end up in saving the cost. Next slide. So it is water distribution in high-rise building, 22-storied. So normally we are doing a gravity supply system. So we tried partially gravity and partially pressurized water supply system. And what were the challenges and what was the thought process? I will just tell you. Next slide. So why basically we need to think in something different way? So normally water supply is always by gravity. In most of the schemes, it is only by gravity. Then why at all to think about this different way, where you have a top 11 floors with the gravity and bottom 11 floors with the hydrodynamic system. Next slide. It started with the safety consideration. If you see 20-storied building, that means 11 meters of height from the overhead tank, and 71 meters of height is equal to 7.1 kg centimeter square. You must be knowing that 10 meters is equal to 1 kg. That means if you rise by 10 kg, you will lose 1 kg pressure. And if you come down by 10 meters, you will gain 1 kg pressure. So 70 meters is directly converted to 7.1 kg. Now this is only related with the height of the building and not the diameter. Maximum allowed pressure for CP fittings is normally 5 kg. All the CP fittings manufacturer, they recommend minimum pressure of 1 kg and maximum pressure of 5 kg. So any installation, if it is going above 5 kg, it is a danger zone for that. So in gravity system, if PRV, normally what we do when there is a less pressure, we go for hydrodynamic system. And if there is a pressure which is more than what we require, we go for pressure reducing valve to control the pressure. So normally PRV setting is a cumbersome job. And in most of the schemes, it is as it comes from the manufacturer, whatever is the preset pressure is normally set on the site. Either you will have to set it precisely on site, or you will have to tell the manufacturer, you have to give them the designed pressure so that they can set it at the factory and then supply it. Normally, this is a missing link, and pressure reducing valves are normally come whatever with the preset pressure from manufacturer, they are installed at that pressure only. Next. So the scheme, the basic data was number of buildings 3, number of floors 3, parking plus 22, number of flats per building 88, number of flats per floor 4, number of toilet ducts per building 8, number of kitchen ducts per building 4, water requirement considered cold water 135 liters per person per day, and hot water requirement was considered 25 liters per person per day. Next. So normal gravity system, NBC allows to connect normally 7 to 9 floors per downtake on one downtake. In practice, 5 to 6 floors are connected to a downtake. Why it is so? This way we can limit the pressure below to say 2.4 to 2.7 kg per centimeter square, and pressure reducing valves are set to design these particular pressures. So if you see in a gravity supply systems, 280 feet pipeline is without any connections. Next slide. If you see, there are 4 pipelines in a gravity feed system. If you see the leftmost pipeline, all 3 connections are there. Then this 30 feet pipeline which is coming, there is no connection. Then there are 5 to 6 connections. Again, the right pipeline, there are 9 floors which are absolutely having no connection. And in rightmost downtake, there are 15 connections, 15 floors where there is no connection. So this is basically the pipe which ultimately you can consider as a wastage from costing point of view. Next slide. So top 3 floors normally does not get required pressure, which is a minimum of 1 kg per centimeter square. So for top 3 floors, normally pressure booster system is planned. It is ensure that cold water source and hot water source is same, so that the pressure at mixer are same. If you are giving water supply with hydropneumatic system for top 3 floors, then you must have a separate hot water system for that. Because ultimately the cold water source which is feeding your mixer you should have the same source feeding your hot water system. So if you are going for a hydropneumatic system, the same hydropneumatic system will supply your hot water system, and the hot water with the same pressure will come to the mixer. What will happen if there is a fluctuation in pressure? There will be hot water streams. Next. So because it is a very high building, a high length building, I have divided it into different zones so that we can understand. So you can see here, there are many floors where there is no connection from the pipeline. Next. This is the down bottom zone of the same utility gravity system, and the rightmost downtake, where you will get maximum pressure of 7.1 kg if your pressure reducing valve is either not set properly or is not functioning properly. Next. So you will see here there are two different hot water systems. One is for the pressurized line, that is for top 3 floors, and normal gravity solar system for the remaining floors. Next. So we thought we will think in a different way to control basically the pressures. So what we say, we divided 22-storied building into 11-storied 2 buildings placed on each other. So we will consider from ground 11th floor as a one building, and from 12 to 22 as a separate building. So top 11 floors are supplied water with gravity, whereas remaining 11 floors were supplied water with hydropneumatic system from UGT only. So from water was supplied from UGT directly to the taps by the HPS system for bottom 11 floors. What was the advantage? Under any circumstances, pressure is controlled and is below 5 kg per centimeter square. So it is basically a fail-safe system. So even something is failed, there is no cascading effect, and the failure is contained in, there and there itself. So length of the pipeline, which was 280 feet, where there was no connection, if you divide it into 2 buildings or 2 parts, this will come down to 140 feet without any water connection. So 280 feet in only gravity system, 280 feet pipeline was there where there was no connection, which has come down to 140 feet. So in where there is no connection. So resulting in cost saving. Per building, you can save 6,750 feet of pipe in ducts only. So where you achieve the cost saving? Because you use less pipe to supply the water with the same pressure, your basic parameters remains the same, but you use less pipeline to achieve the required results. Next. Next, Nivedita. So you can see here, so top 11 floors, they are supplied with gravity system, and bottom 11 floors are supplied with hydropneumatic system. Now here is the challenge. The challenge is, next slide. Next. So here also you will see that there are 2 hot water systems. So if you are supplying water by solar system has to be installed on the terrace. You cannot install it at ground level. So on terrace also you have to ensure that it is a totally shadow-free area. So when you are dividing the cold water supply into 2 zones, your hot water has to be divided into 2 zones, because ultimately you have to balance the pressure at each tap. So you have to find out a hot water system which will be equivalent to solar system as far as capital cost and operating cost also. So what is the answer? Next. Next slide. Next slide. No, you see, you have jumped, Nivedita. Come back. There is a slide for hot water. Come back. It is written. Come back, still come back. Come back. Previous slide. So no. See, there is a hot water system. See, so if you are dividing your building into two parts, because you are dividing the cold water supply, to balance the pressure, you have to divide your hot water system also. And then the challenge is you have to see that your hot water system is comparable as far as capital cost is concerned, and then operating cost is concerned also. So what we found, the solution which we found is the heat pump. So heat pump is comparable with the solar system in capital cost also and in operating cost also. Though the heat pump operates on the electricity, but the efficiency of the heat pump is 4 times. It is 400%. So even if you consider that there is no sunlight and sun energy for 3 months, whatever you will pay for the electricity bills, in the equivalent amount, you can heat your water by heat pump for the entire 12 months. So, and the capital cost is also comparable. So we decided to go for heat pump for the bottom 11 floors and solar system for the top 11 floors. And then we installed one hydropneumatic system for bottom 11 floors. The same hydropneumatic system is supplying water to the heat pump system, and thus the pressure is balanced. So anywhere if you go, the pressure is balanced as well as pressure is below 5 kg. So under no circumstances, the entire system can go out of the safe zone. It is always in the safe zone. So next. So entire remaining piping systems remain the same. May it be utility system or the hot water system. The same philosophy and the same savings ultimately get applied. Next. Go to the costing sheet. 1 minute. Okay, chal. Go on costing sheet. So now if you see, if you do the costing for only gravity system, the piping cost only in piping is 73 lakhs, which will come down in the gravity plus HPS system to 45 lakhs. Here there is a major savings. Now hot water system is comparable, so the cost remains the same. Pumping cost is slightly higher because you are adding one hydropneumatic system. So your capacity of remaining systems will come down. So you will save certain cost over there, but you are adding one additional pumping system. So cost will somewhere it will go up. But the net result is from 1 crore 20 lakhs rupees, the costing has come down to 94 lakhs rupees. The saving of 26 lakhs rupees in totality. So if you see, the total saleable area of this scheme is 3,20,000 square feet. So total cost per square feet is 38 rupees square feet, and total cost saving is 8 rupees per square feet. So you have not sacrificed anything. Actually, you have gone into an entirely safe mode. Still, you have saved 8 rupees per square feet just by thinking in a different way. Next slide. So this is the detailing of the costing. It may not be visible. So go ahead. Go ahead. Next, Nivedita. Next. Next. So the conclusion is, normally we think that if we invest more in capital cost, then only we can save operational cost. But if you see here, you have not increased the capital cost, you have decreased the capital cost, you have maintained the operational cost, and still you can make the system entirely safe. So the conclusion is, out of box thinking is a way forward. Next. Thank you for patient listening. We will take any questions if there are at the end of the session. And now over to Nivedita for a video.
Thank you, Mr. Rahul Dadphale.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Mr. Nilesh Gandhi,
Okay,
who
we
will
have,
talk.
Mr. Shroff, we have a video to share, so I'll just take a few minutes to share that video.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Can you all hear the sound, please?
Yes, we can hear the sound.
Yeah.
But it's not visible.
But we can't see the
Nivedita.
video. We can't see the video. We can just hear the audio.
Nivedita, video is not visible.
Give me a minute, sir. Is it visible now?
Yeah, Nivedita. Yeah.
म्हटलं ते केस काय म्हटलं पलटान सुनते थे.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Can we move forward to Mr. Nilesh Gandhi talking about the benefits of choosing the right plumbing system for us? Do we have Mr. Gandhi?
Yeah, I'm here. We can go ahead. Nivedita, can you open up the presentation?
Yes, sir, I'm doing that. I hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you.
So good evening, everybody, and thanks CREDAI Kolkata section for giving us opportunity to have a technical interaction with all my colleagues. Today, I'm going to discuss a topic which is closely related to rainwater design. We all know rainwater is a very tricky topic. It is very difficult to predict the impacts of same. And most of the time, we take it lightly till it really hits us bad. Using the most advanced technique sometimes really saves you from the future problems. The topic of discussion, can you move to the next slide? Today we are going to understand this technology with the help of a case study. The picture what you all are seeing is a big commercial IT project named as Eon Kharadi in Pune. Everybody can see this while they are landing to Pune airport because it is very close to Pune airport. The project is about 40 lakh square foot and each building has a roof area of about 7 lakh square foot. Next slide, please. We are going to discuss the comparison between the gravity system and the latest technology of siphonic drainage system. And before we go into a detailed case study, I would like to brief you the basic difference between the two systems. Unlike the traditional roof drainage system in which the pipe is flowing half full, in siphonic system, it is 100% flowing with water, just like a water supply pipe. Though it looks simple to hear, but it's very difficult to achieve in practice. A lot of R&D and research with practical options goes into this to finalize this kind of manufacturing design and come with a perfect solution. To prevent water entering inside the pipe, to prevent air entering inside the pipe, we have to add an anti-vortex plate. And the whole balance of siphonic system is based on that. When we design a gravity system, the motivating force is only the 50 mm or 100 mm water depth in the terrace, either in the gutter or on the terrace. But when we design siphonic system, we can advantageously use the height, which can be 30 meter, 20 meter, or even 100 meter, from the top of the terrace to the first outlet where we are connecting it to the gravity. Thus, we are able to use the bigger static height, which ultimately reduces the pipe numbers and the pipe sizes. Can you go to the next slide? To understand siphonic system in simple way, I am just trying to show you a demonstration which most of us during our college days must have used to remove petrol from the friend's bike. We used to put pipe in the tank, remove the air from the pipe, and the water will start flowing against the gravity from the tank to the bottle. It used to rise from the tank, come into the bottle. And once the flow starts and there is no air entrainment further, it will empty the complete tank. In principle, same concept is used in siphonic. You can see the height from the tank bucket to the bottom is completely utilized as an engine for driving that water further. Next slide, please. Now we will do the comparison between both the system by considering each and every point which we come across in our practical design. First is the design principle. In gravity system, the only height which is available is 50 to 30 mm, which is the height of water on the terrace or in the channel. In Siphonik, as we just see, we can utilize the complete building height up to the first chamber. Second important aspect nowadays is the space requirement in shaft. In gravity system, we require more space as compared to Siphonik system, and that too also distributed all along the building equidistantly. In Siphonik system, we can have a less 50%, and we can also divert without further slopes all the piping at one location. The third important point is the slope required at the basement or whenever the Siphonik pipe is removed. It may be podium or the basement. Normally in conventional system, we range our slope between 1:100 to 1:200. And when we do this for, let's say, a length of 40 meter or 50 meter, we started losing about 0.7 to 0.65 meter height from our usable height. You can consider the industry or a warehouse or a parking space.
The audio system is disturbing. The audio system is disturbing, sir.
You are not able to hear me?
No, it's completely fine, Mr. Gandhi. Please carry on.
So when we have to move 40 to 50 meter at a basement ceiling, the amount of height which are utilized by this slope is ranging from about 0.65 meter to 0.7 meter. So it's a wastage of that area, and with the cost of construction and the cost of space moving high, it's not possible to do such kind of height. Also, when we run this pipe in the ground, then the depth of chamber, the cost of excavation, the time required in execution is substantial. And those, my friends from the industry, they will realize when we do the construction all around the building periphery, we lose the access to do any concreting or roofing work for the industry. In Siphonik system, the most advantageous thing is we don't require any slope to the horizontal pipe. I will repeat again because it is something somebody may not believe at the first instance when he heard. Siphonik system do not require any slope when they run horizontally. And we do not lose any further space. That's the most advantageous thing we have in our projects when we use Siphonik system. Next page. Next page, please. Then the important, previous, yes. Cost of architectural elevation treatment for the pipes in the elevation or the facade of the building. I will try to give more emphasis on this point because in gravity, the number of pipes are more. Siphonik, they will reduce to somewhere between 50% to 70%, 60%. The emphasis on this point is whenever we do any estimation of the project, we normally do not calculate the cost of aesthetic treatment for rainwater pipes. And when we do a project which is 70 meter tall or 100 meter tall, and we have, let's say, 20 or 30 number of shafts or the pipes which aesthetically needs to be treated, the cost becomes substantial. And the hurting point is because it is not accounted, you end up doing something which is not acceptable to the architect. Also, he loses his freedom of his elevation design because so many pipes are coming at different locations in gravity system. Velocity of the pipe water flow. In gravity, we have to restrict here between 0.7 to 3 meter per second. In Siphonik, we don't have this restriction. We can go as high as 5 to 6 meter per second. I have seen videos of siphonic system installed in UAE, wherein along with water, it is also carrying the small particle size of dust, because there the dust settles on the roof, and it was running as a water plus dust simultaneously. 6th point is planning aspect and deviation on the site work. In Indian context, we are used to do a lot of site changes, which is quite possible with gravity system. But when we do a detailed engineering system like siphonic system, we will have to do all the design upfront, order material upfront as per this layout. For some genuine reason, we have to do the changes on site. Then we will have to cross check with the designer whether that change is feasible with the same material, or we have to increase the pipe dia or decrease the pipe dia, whatever, it depends upon the type of change we are initiating. And then we'll have to order that balanced material. So you will have to check the design as well as the delivery time required for further ordering of that product. Next slide. Material supply cost. If you purely look at the cost of material which is required, the PVC rainwater pipe will be dirt cheap as compared to the HDPE make or SS make rainwater pipes, or for example seamless cast iron pipe. They can also be used for siphonic system for the siphonic system. As compared to gravity system, the piping cost of siphonic system is high. Material supply time also, gravity suppliers are readily available in India, so you can get material in the span of 10 to 15 days max. As against siphonic system, because we have to import it, it will take at least 2 to 3 months delivery time. Warranties. Nobody will give you any written warranty in the gravity system in Indian context as on today. Siphonic system, you can get warranties up to 10 years now. So that's the advantage. You are more confident. Look at the warehouse owner who has got confidence that there will not be issues of any leakages or any failure of their gravity system or their rainwater system, and because of that there will be damages in the project. Next page. Next page. Now we'll discuss the details of the project, what we are talking about. As I told you, the project comprises of 4 identical pods with a built up area of 1 pod. Roof is about 8 lakh square foot. Total built up area of 1 pod about 8 lakh square foot, and the roof is about 1,26,000 square foot. The roof is very complex in nature in terms of its slopes as well as in terms of its design. It is in the shape of a petal of a leaf, and it is sloping in both directions. It is one of the challenging facade design I have seen in my experience as on today. Now, because of such very good facade, it was practically very difficult to have so many pipes running at regular intervals. So we started looking for the option what system can benefit us from the project point of view. So when we come across siphonic system and we integrated the complete project, the cost for the 1 pod for the material supply was 24 lakh. And you will be surprised to see that when we work out the gravity system cost, it was costing us 30 lakhs at that time. The project is executed in 2006 to 2010. And touch wood, even up till now, there has been not a single instance or a complaint that system has not worked and there has been any issue. The advantage is the number of downtakes, which were 58 in gravity system, has come down to 16 number in siphonic system. Also, we have an emergency outflow which is included in those 16 outlets. We practically save a space of 800 square foot in total shaft space, which ultimately get converted into a leasable space, which my client must be saving minimum 4 lakh rupees rent per year. If they would have gone for a gravity system, that 800 square foot on all the floors for so many pipes would have been utilized as a shaft and not be available as a leasable area to them. So even if we do not add any cost for the elevation treatment or even this saving in the space and the time in the underground construction of pipe, the cost was lower for Siphonik system than the gravity system. This will vary from project to project. Higher the project roof area, you will have higher, better cost saving, and Siphonik will be cheaper. But even if it is, let's say 20-25% more than the gravity system, the other cost of saving in rents amount or saving in the elevation treatment, giving freedom to your architect for a nice looking facade without any patches of shaft is really advantageous. Next slide, please. Just to indicate how many zones we had divided in Siphonik system, you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4 colors, each showing a different zone. For each zone, there were a main system and an emergency overflow system. So there has been a factor of safety also built in. I am sure everybody will appreciate whenever we have events of cyclone and we have a flash flood or a higher intensity flood, such emergency system gives you additional protection as compared to any gravity system. Next slide, please. It may not be very visible to you, but you can look at the numbers. It starts from 1 to 60. But in reality, we have to put 2 numbers less because we diverted those 2 gravity system onto 1 pipe. So we have to plan 58 locations for the gravity system considering the area of this roof. Next slide, please. You can see in section, there is a gutter, the Siphonik outlet. Then the Siphonik outlet is supported on a stainless steel railing because this HDPE pipe required support at a frequent interval of 1 meter to 1.2 meter, ranging on the pipe dia. And this stainless steel rail is supported on this structure, which is supported at every 3.5 meter center. This is one of the costly component in the Siphonik system. If we do a RCC gutter, then we can eliminate this stainless steel supporting, which will further bring down the Siphonik system cost comparable to the gravity system. Next slide, please. This is another view how the cutout in the gutter is made with 30 centimeter by 30 centimeter. The outlet is fixed and then it is made watertight by proper welding and brazing. Same is connected to the horizontal header, which is hung to the stainless steel supporting system at a frequent interval. Next slide, please. This is physical view of the Siphonik outlet. The vertical arrangement or the vertical fin you see adjacent to the outlet is basically to bifurcate. Because the gutter is continuous, we don't want certain portion of water to go into other area before it is siphoned by those outlets. And after suppose one of the outlet is not working because it is clogged by cloth or some dust or debris, then the water will overflow through this vertical small fin of aluminum sheet and it will go into the next section, and that extra flow will be equally distributed. If there is more flow, the emergency overflow system will activate and it will also start discharging that water. And for the safety precaution, we do not connect the emergency outflow system to an underground chamber, but we try to release it above ground at a visible location. So when somebody sees water coming from that location, it is an indication for the facility that some of the outlets are clogged and they will have to immediately remove the clogging or remove the debris from that outlet. Typically, we have observed that cloth, plastic, tree leaves, they will try to clog the space around the outlets. Next slide. Can you play the video? This video will show you the comparison in the lab. Velocity of the pipe. I will suggest it to run again, Nivedita, because it is fast. People may not able to capture all the points again.
Sir, we are unable to hear you with the video sound playing.
Mr. Gandhi, we couldn't hear you during the video.
Okay, I will repeat the matter again. No, don't play the video. There were two chambers, 32 and 33. 32 was the siphonic and 33 was gravity. You could have identified the pipe outlet size. 32 was half the 33 pipe outlet size. 33 was filling or only half full. 32 was flowing full. And in the end, when we connect to the chamber, the gravity pipe, siphonic pipe is also enlarged to 2 times the diameter, and we made it gravity. Then only we are able to control the velocities in the pipe, and then it start flowing like a gravity pipe in the end portion. Next slide. Thank you everybody for patient hearing. What I'm trying to highlight is every time using any imported system or new technology not necessarily will add cost to your system. As long as you plan intelligently and integrate it from the day one along with the structure and architecture and facade system, I'm sure you will able to come with a engineeringly safe, economical and long-lasting structure or solution. Thank you. As we said, we will take the question answer in the end.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Gandhi. We look forward to Mr. Subhash Deshpande now, who would talk about common mistakes that cause leakages and how can we control and rectify them. Mr. Subhash, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Straw. Any developer or builder, when he hands over the apartment to the user, the first complaint he receives is leakage. And that really causes a huge harm to his reputation. So let us see what are the causes and remedies of the leakages. They're very usual, but sometimes they are not able to control the causes. So let us see the causes. Nivedita, next. Did you jump the slide? Okay. Bad plumbing causes leakages. This is a very common, bold statement everyone makes. And whenever there is a leakage, you call the plumber and start firing him, calling him to Admi hai ya Gada hai, whatever kind of abuse, and he's fired. So let us see what is causing leakage. It's a very common phenomena in India that we connect the wash basin waste over a floor trap in the sunken toilet floor. This is actually causing a double trap, one water trap at the wash basin and second floor trap over there. However, that is a different story. We are now talking about leakages. So here what happens is that the sides of the sunken portion from floor trap to the Nani trap below, the inlet from the floor to the Nani trap below, they are just finished with cement. The plumber or whoever is doing this plastering, he cannot actually see where it is going. He just has to move his hand inside and do some kind of finish. Most of the leakages start from here with the capillary action, and the water starts leaking through the slab below. However, if you put one inlet fitting over there, as you see on the picture on the right, that part of leakage is stopped. And this is a very common mistake. Most of the leakages are from this source. It is actually not directly related to plumbing as such. Next. Another thing, cost saving at the sites, people install the WC directly onto the waste pipe without using a WC connector. You should always use a WC connector, whether it is a wall hung WC or a floor mounted WC. That will definitely ensure that there are no leakages from the joint of a WC and the pipe or WC because of the neoprene rubber ring over there. And it also ensures that there is no foul smell coming out of this joint. So this is the WC connector is very important. Please do not save cost while installing the WC. Next. Wrong pipes and fittings. Again, this is a big problem because when you are using UPVC pipe for drainage, even the manufacturer says that for horizontal pipes or below floor pipes, buried pipes, you should use solvent cement jointing for horizontal or buried pipes and the O-ring joints for vertical pipes. Now, what happens at site is that suddenly one finds that the fittings for solvent cement are not available. So he uses some wrong fittings for wrong pipe. And for that, he has to apply some adhesive, some fine sand over it for the jointing. And this kind of adjustment at site, compromise at site, that starts causing leakages. You should use the right fitting and the right pipe for the right purposes. Next. Then the wrong joints. If you see the picture on the left, somebody has heated the pipe to make a joint instead of using a proper collar. This definitely will cause leakages. On the right is a pipe in the parking lot where the last pipe is cast iron and the pipe coming from the top is of UPVC. The joint made is all jugaad at site. It's a cement finish, cement joint, which will definitely have cracks very soon and there will be tree growing out of it. So you have to have proper jointing over there and you should continue with the same pipe going into the parking lot. Next. Avoidable door fittings. The picture on the left is showing you a door fitting, a T over the coupling. That door fitting is of no use. If there is any blockage in the pipe, the door fitting is of no use. Similarly, fitting on the right shows that the door fitting is facing the wall. Again, it is not accessible in case there is a blockage. So there are many instances where door fittings are used which are of no use. In fact, the door fitting is one of the causes of leakages because the rubbering inside the door fitting becomes hard over a period of time and the leakage starts over there. So please avoid door fittings wherever they are not required. Next. Manual cutting and chasing. If you are doing the plumbing for water supply, manual chasing must be avoided. Also, do not do the chasing while the wall is not even plastered. The backcoat plaster must be done before doing the chasing. That will avoid any cracks in the wall, and thus you can avoid the leakages. Picture on the right shows you the manual cutting of holes in the slab by chisel and hammer. That manual hammering will cause a lot of cracks which will not be seen directly with naked eye, but ultimately result into leakages. So that must be avoided. Next. Deburring. When you cut a pipe, it causes burr. As you see it at the center, there is some burr over there. If you don't do deburring, if you do not remove the burr over there by unrimming of the pipes, it causes turbulence in the flow of water. That turbulence causes pitting at the joint, and ultimately that pitting will erode the pipe and leakage starts in the water supply. So deburring is very important. You have to give proper training to your plumbers to do the deburring, both for drainage as well as water supply. Next. Excessive water pressure. The figure on the left is a very common figure, which is for installation of pressure reducing valve in high-rise buildings. So there is one PRV and there is a bypass for the PRV. If this PRV fails for whatever reason, sand particles or many other reasons, you have to remove the PRV, and while it is being taken away for repairs or maintenance or replacement, you open the other zone and allow the water to flow down. But that causes higher pressure, excessive pressure of water. It damages the water supply installations, pipes, as well as fittings, and sometimes even the plumbing fixtures and fittings. Ultimately, this leakage is caused because of excessive pressure, which was not designed by the designer. You have to follow the figure on the right, where there are two PRVs, one working and one standby, and you can use any one PRV. There is some disturbance in the voice. Please mute. Okay, so please follow the picture on the right, though it is costing a little more with excessive extra fittings and PRVs, but that will ensure that the excessive pressure is always avoided. Hot water supply. Depending on the material of the pipe, you have to decide the number of supports to the hot water supply system. If the supports are inadequate, you will see this kind of snake-shaped hot water supply pipes. And the moment there is a snake shape, there is a stress on the pipe and fitting joint. That stress causes leakages. So you must provide adequate number of supports depending on the pipe material. Next. Whenever you are crossing the water retaining structure, such as water tanks or basements, you must use a puddle flange, either metal or polymer, which will ensure that there are no leakages from the joint while you are crossing the concrete or any other structure which is water retaining type. This will ensure that there are no leakages from the crossings. Next. This is again a very common cause of leakages, changes at site. What you are seeing in the picture is that the plumber has already done installation, the plaster work is done, the tiling was about to start, and then came the instruction from the design house that I want the joints not at the center of the tile, but at the joint of the tile. Now these changes cause too many excessive fittings and fixtures. The changes are never as good as the original work. The changes sometimes are carried out by a local site plumber who is not a regular plumbing contractor, and the jointing may not be good, and ultimately it causes leakages. So you must avoid last minute changes in the drawings at site to avoid any leakages. Next. Okay, the picture on the left is showing that the pipes are properly installed in the shaft. Now, what is properly installed? That means they are away from the wall with proper clamping arrangement. If there is any leakage from the pipe, for whatever reason, if there is a leakage in the pipe, the leaking water will go at the bottom of the shaft, but it will not be transferred into the building by damaging the plaster inside or damaging the furniture inside. The picture on the right is showing that the pipes are installed directly on the wall, directly clamped on the wall. So if there is any leakage, that will be passed on inside the building and damaging building as well as the RCC structure and the furniture inside. The first sign is, of course, damaging the painting inside. Another thing I would like to highlight here is that you can see the fabricated fittings on the right. The offset in the pipeline is fabricated at site. This is not permitted by any code. It causes extra disturbance in the water flow of the water, the turbulence in the water, and that causes leakages. This is again not permitted by any code. Next. All right, so we have seen that bad plumbing causes leakages. We accept that. We plumbing professionals, we accept. And these leakages are not because the material is faulty. Nowadays, the plumbing pipes, whether it is water supply or drainage, they are of very good quality. The pipes fitting and jointing methods are excellent. It is only because the plumbers are not properly or formally trained, these things are happening and mistakes are happening. Fine. But there are some other causes which cause leakages, and they are not related to plumbing directly. Let us see. Next. All right. While planning, you must have seen the picture on the top. Many drawings you must be receiving at site, which shows a small inlet in the shower area and a diagonal arrow showing the slope. Now, this is something impossible, if not, I mean, it's very difficult, if not impossible, at site to provide a diagonal slope. Now, because of this, the slope is not proper. There is standing water at the inlet of the shower area, and the standing water will definitely find its own way to seep or leak, and it causes leakages. However, if you have a small offset in the tiling, or if you provide a shower channel in shower area, it is a simple unilateral slope in the shower area. The water will be swept off into the waistline very quickly, and there will be no leakages. A small change in your detailing can avoid any leakage. Next. Sealants and grouts. You have a nice, beautiful granite platform, either for the basin counter, wash basin counter, or kitchen counter. But the water from the counter gets into the dado tiles or wall tiles, and that ultimately goes into some structural element and causes leakages. Only because the granite and the tiles are behaving differently in terms of thermal expansion and contraction, and there will be leakages unless you use proper sealants and grouts in the tile jointing. It does not cost you more. It is only the instruction that you have to give or specifications you have to add, saying that all joints should be sealed with proper rubberized sealant. Next. Here is another baby, shrinkage of the backfilling. You have a sunken toilet floor. So you lay the pipes, you do the waterproofing, everything is done. You start the tiling. There is no time for proper curing of the backfilling because there is hurry. The project is already late. You are in a hurry and you want to finish everything. The tiling is done, whether it is floor tiling or wall tiling. Then eventually, when the backfilling is drying up, when it is setting down, there is a small gap of maybe 0.5 millimeter or 1 millimeter, which is because of the setting of the backfilling. So there is a small gap between the floor tile and the wall tile from where leakage starts. As I mentioned, if you have a proper sealant installed over there, it pulls off, it stretches out, and it will avoid the leakages from here. So I suggest that you must use sealants and grouts for tiling joints. Next. So we have seen that some of the leakages are due to bad plumbing, some are due to bad planning or bad specifications or wrong specifications. What is the solution? Solution is very simple. Let us assume that there are going to be some leakages, but you can stop the leakage quickly. And if you stop the leakage quickly, the damage is also very little. Now, how to access? From each toilet, particularly in high-rise buildings, there must be access to the plumbing shaft where there is a possibility of some leakages happening. Particularly in high-rise buildings, you cannot expect a plumber to climb from top or from bottom into the plumbing shaft. So you must have a working platform in every plumbing shaft with cutout for the downtake pipes and access from each toilet. It can be from the toilet or from the balcony nearby, but there must be access from that particular floor into the plumbing shaft to inspect and maintain any leaking pipes. Next. Earlier, we used to have sunken toilet floors where we have a waste connection to the floor trap. If there is any leakage into the sunken toilet floor, either from the drainage pipe or from the water supply pipe, that will be first absorbed by the backfilling in the sunken floor. Ultimately, then it goes into the beams or the slab. And then after a while, it may take for a while, maybe 2-3 months, then it starts leaking into the toilet below. So the person staying below, sees some stains in the ceiling, and he reports, and there is a leakage reported over there. To remove this leakage, you have to
Mr. Subhash, you have gone on mute. We can't hear you. And request all others to please remain on mute.
It was muted by moderator, it says.
Okay.
Not me.
Okay.
All right. So if there is any leakage, you have to go into the toilet above. You have to remove the plumbing fixtures, sanitary ware. You have to remove the tiles. You have to remove the What is happening?
Sanjukta, can we take care of Mr. Jha, please? You can continue, Mr. Deshpande.
Yes, please. Thank you. So you have to remove the plumbing fixtures, you have to remove the tiles, you have to remove the backfilling, access the plumbing lines into the floor, and do the repairs. It will take maybe a month. It will also cost you maybe few lakh of rupees. However, if you have a non-sunken floor with a plumbing, ceiling hung plumbing, and if you notice a leakage from the false ceiling below, you just have to remove the tile of the false ceiling, peep inside, see the leakage, put some small ball of M-Seal onto it, stop the leakage in 10 minutes time. The solution is you have to assume that there could be some leakages, but you must have easy access to the plumbing to stop the leakage as early as possible. That is the way to reduce any damage coming out of the leakages. Next. So that is it from my side, but I welcome any questions you have. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deshpande, and thank you to all the speakers for your insights. And I'm sure it has been a great learning session for all of us. We have received one question which is I think addressed to Mr. Rahul Datphale. Rachit is asking, OPEX cost for hydropneumatic system is quite high. So is there a cost comparison for OPEX?
Yeah, it can be submitted, but OPEX cost of hydropneumatic system is higher is a myth. Means the person might have experienced it, but the reasons could be different. There is no need that the operating cost of a hydropneumatic system should be higher, because it is basically a designed system and an automatic system. So when a system is operating in designed parameters, there is no need, there is no reason why your cost will go up.
Okay. Thank you. I don't think we have any further questions, and we've slightly overshot our time as well. So I'd like to close the webinar for today, and thank you to Mr. Bilani, Mr. Abhay Pasari, Mr. Gurmeet Singh Arora, our speakers, Mr. Rahul Datphale, Mr. Nilesh Gandhi, Mr. Subhash Deshpande, who have shared their valuable experiences with us. And we are grateful for that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw.
Thank you.
Thanks all.